All right, thanks.
Okay. We'll get started. Welcome, everyone. August 21st, 2024 meeting of the Advisory Committee Board Tour. First order of business is the approval of July 7th minutes. So, has everyone had the opportunity to review the meeting minutes? And if so, are there any changes and modifications requested? Hearing none. And the motion to approve the minutes.
Did everybody hear that? Was there a motion to approve minutes?
Maybe reading.
Oh, yeah.
Give everyone a few more minutes if we want. But, if anyone would like to make a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
Thank you, Ms. Leonard. Second.
I'll second.
And that was
Kim Martinez.
thank you, Kim. Hello there.
Hello.
Okay. We have a motion with a second discussion. All in favor? One, two, three. Any opposed? Motion carried. Unanimously. Thank you. Next order of business is the monthly board report. We have no reports there. Yeah. So we will move on to the contracts. And we're going to get an update on the RFPs.
Pete, I wasn't sure if you had anything you wanted to report or if any updates for either of the RFPs that are out.
Yeah, so what I will say is the cost of services RFP has been complete. It has went to, it's approved. We have not had our first contact with Fidelis, who is if I said that right, who is the vendor that was awarded the contract. Hopefully, once we get started, we'll bring that process and get with everyone once we have established that meeting and initial meeting with them. So it is a meeting. It is a process that involves a lot of public input. So which was one of our goals. And the committee, which was Sumeda, Bruce, Karen, I think, they did a great job. They reviewed the documents. We met with the vendors, and I feel like that the cost of this, which I think was in the 178,000 range, was it was the low bid, but I also think both bids had we chosen either one, will do a very good job for us, and we were pretty happy with it. I don't know if Bruce, Sumeda, or Karen want to say anything about it. Please do if you feel like it.
I mean, one thing I did look up the cost was much more in line with what we were expecting versus
Bruce, I feel like that you're a little bit inaudible to me. Could it be just me? But
no, it's hard to understand.
Same here, Pete.
keep this arranged to where I can be heard.
That is better right there.
You just have to lean in.
I guess my comment was that the cost seemed to be more appropriate versus what we were expecting versus the other bid.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and I like that. I mean, they both did pretty well in the interviews, and I think the one we went with ultimately ended up. I mean, they were very impressive in the interview. They seemed to have really good technical knowledge. They seemed to be very objective and kind of clear. So I think they understood the goals, and yeah, it was. I'm excited that they're on board now.
Any questions? More information to come. The capture rate study, while we are still in principle, we have agreed to the reduced scope. They are rewriting that scope so that we can make that official, and it will be under 50,000. And once we get that new scope, then we'll decide whether or not we want to move forward with that contract.
Very good, thank you.
That's it.
And next order is education. Karen, you want to give us an overview what's going on with education?
Yes, I'm going to go back to sharing. Okay, so anyone who's been coming to the meetings knows we've talked a lot about district-wide education and how to go about that, consistent messaging, different MRFs, etc. So we have yet to have a meeting with all the haulers. We had tried to get that together, and it never was rescheduled or anything. But I wanted to just remind everyone that our major audience for recycling education can be broken into new recyclers, so brand new, starting recycling at their homes, current recyclers, and then non-recyclers, not participating at all. So those audiences would have different methods of communication or encouragement for recycling. So for new recyclers, we've been talking about having consistent educational materials that every hauler could deliver with the new recycling cart, and it would be the same across the board, and then everybody sees the same items, and it's not as confusing, wondering like, well, does my hauler take this or whatever. And even call centers that are national can sometimes give wrong information because they're not looking at the right list or whatever. So what I have is a card. It's sorry, I keep having to just move the people pictures around. So this is one side of the card. There is a little circle here with the idea that it would be hole punched for attaching to a cart. Of course, haulers might have different ways of doing that. We are currently using, we've changed the method for adding tags to carts for our Recycle Right program. And because we don't want them to fall off, we've tried different methods. And right now we're focused on having a hole punch one and using a little wire, very thin wire holders that kind of like a twist tie, but without any of the paper covering or whatever. So anyway, this is the idea. I only have, if you notice the bottom, I'm trying to get everybody on board with a logo. any hauler that anybody might have, the goal would be for them to recognize that, oh, yeah, this is my hauler here, and the one in my, at my mom's house, or in the one where I used to live. Um, and if these are wrong or whatever, the only one that I actually got an official logo from, I didn't ask everybody yet, but is Rumpke, because I was already communicating with them. Otherwise, I got it off the internet for now. But we want them to be official. And I also haven't found a contact for the city of Shively. So if anybody knows who the best contact for that is, that would be great. But the idea is, let's recycle together. These are the approved images. It includes added an aluminum cup here, Rumpke's suggestion, and then a clear plastic cup over here, instead of that clamshell that was controversial to the two Murphs. So we're just kind of removing it off of the picture so that it's not, kind of not talked about. If you want to get into details, you can use the Recycle Coach app. But anyway, this will be the general things that everybody is okay with accepting, and hence the line here, no matter who is collecting or recycling, the do's and don'ts are the same. And the other side has what we all agree on as the things we want to leave out of the cart, mental or keep a hold of, like styrofoam and bags getting all wrapped up, and tanglers, flammables, of course, and needles. Recycle Coach app here, and then the guidelines that would also be the same no matter where you are. We prefer the recycling to be kept loose, not in bags. The set out rules are the same no matter where you are. That's like a general ordinance from Louisville. So I included those.
Karen, this
Yes.
is Pete. We will be able, if we have a home rule city that wants to do their own distribution, we'll be able to customize these somewhat to that home rule city logo. Is that correct?
Yes, I actually forgot about the home rule city, and also how someone had mentioned that some home rule cities might have an even more specific rule about bringing carts back in. So
Actually,
yes, it would not be hard at all.
I was going to say, actually, so far, I have not found a home rule city where that would be a concern. We've got a meeting tomorrow night. I can bring it up then. But so far, everything we've talked about in the past, and it was all fine.
Yeah, and if we want to add a logo, especially if this is specific to a city or something that has a logo, that's totally fine as well. Maybe not for all the cards, but you know what I mean. We can put it on the print for a city that wants it to look more city.
Most of the cities are contracting with somebody that you've got down below.
Yep.
Yeah, we do have one other hauler to add to this mix. I'll get with you later on about that. I missed that
Okay.
earlier.
Yep. And then anyone on the call that's related, if we have representatives, think about sending me a logo in a good, large enough resolution, and whatever you would want it to be. And I'll also email any contacts to make sure we have that.
Will you email me a copy of this, and I will send it to all the home rule cities? Thanks.
You want us to send it to neighborhood associations too?
It's not a bad idea.
You want to send me a copy? I can send it to my neighborhood association, Town Park, District 8.
I believe that this can go to anybody in Jefferson County, which is the point of this. So if you want to send it to a homeowners association, want to take it to a community meeting, when it handed out at a special event that you attend, I believe that you should feel free to do so. I do believe that we should bring this to the board just to let them know that this is something that we've adopted.
And we can have a bunch of them printed as well, like the real copies as needed, or however we want to do that. That's another thing for just decision making. And I mean, printing a card like this is not super expensive, but that might be another board decision.
Is it- Oh, sorry, Karen. Is it possible to have a one-pager version of this, like a flyer that we can kind of stick in around, like, office recycling areas and things like that on a bulletin board?
Yeah, this one, of course, this is a goal. It's like 6x9 inch card. But we can put the same info or fit it, top and bottom on a flyer kind of thing, and it could be printable like that.
That would be helpful. Thank you. And we're happy to share both versions too with our networks.
Thanks. Does anybody want to see the other side again, or have any more questions or thoughts?
My only question, Karen, is did you want to get the official logos from the haulers prior to them sending out? Because you'll end up, this is basically pretty much the final draft, and then you'll end up with one more version will be the official version, correct?
Yes, I think what I'll do, since we do want to bring it to the board, and that meeting is just next week, I'll work on getting those official logos to make sure everybody, all the entities are okay with the logo either that I have, or if they want to send me another one, and then we'll have that official copy by next Wednesday. And after we share it with the board, I'll email it to anybody who wants both versions, like an 8.5 by 11 that could just be printed and maybe a business or something, or the version that could be sent to a printer as well.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, Karen. Yeah.
You're welcome.
It's too easy. This meeting's going to be over real soon.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. All right.
Don't-
So,
I don't.
I have to leave early anyway, so.
okay.
Karen, I just sent you a contact for the city of Shively too.
Oh, awesome. Thanks, Kim. All right. So the next people in our audience are the current recyclers. Of course, this new recycler thing, it's taken a while to get us to the final draft for that informational thing. So that's kind of a big deal to be done with that and everybody be okay with it. The current recyclers, I've mentioned that the Recycle Right program is still going. I can still use some more partners for our off recycling weeks. If Rumpke, Waste Management, anybody works best with a contracted area, so it's kind of a defined area, and our team goes and tags 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the latest, and if it works out for a hauler to have their collection kind of held off in a certain area, we can do that program with you. The other thing is, now that we have this info card, you all have already pretty much talked about, giving it to neighborhoods or having it available. So that is basically what I put on this slide, that we can add this info card in various ways, or a printout 8.5 by 11 of it, anywhere, as far as even adding it to current recycling carts, which our team could do even if you didn't, if a hauler didn't want the full Recycle Right program, we can attach. We've got staff to do that in the mornings, and that wouldn't even have to be done really before collection necessarily. Inspecting them does, because you have to see the recycling. But that's another option. is to have this info card attached or given to current recyclers.
Karen, something that I would add there.
Yes.
Maybe this is on your next slide or so, but other avenues to hit current recyclers is creating newsletter, social media posts, and any manner of getting this information out there, and creating that content that could be used by anybody in Jefferson County, from an HOA to Home City to a private hauler, that can go out and basically give the same information. We're hitting everybody across the board with the same consistent messaging. So just another avenue. Maybe you got it covered here, maybe you missed it, but letting everybody know that is definitely something that we intend to do.
Yes, and it is. It's on my list from another meeting of saying, yeah, we'll make some content that's available, and I don't have it on the next slide. So, Maida, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe you already have this planned, but to Pete's point, if you could get like, the different graphic sizes for whatever various platform up on a website somewhere where people can kind of download and then share them, we can put it on all of our platforms and also share that resource with partners like the Sustainability Council and others that might be willing to do the same on their channels as well.
Yes, and speaking of that, that is a goal through another avenue, the partnership with the Green City, when we meet about behavior change and sustainability. The goal was maybe to have a QR code specifically for a page. So we have lookky.gov has a recycling page, but it's more falls under the public works side of it. So what I would like is to have basic information from this card, and now that that's created, it's going to be a whole lot easier to do this. But to have a page on the Waste District website, and then maybe that's where we can drive some traffic from, especially through the schools, and U of L, JCTC, and Metro Government, which that's the partnership there. So yeah, that's on my notes as part of the goal. So not only having that content available for download, but housing it on the district website.
One other step here that I want to, we're trying to move this along, and I know that everybody is busy and trying to get all the haulers to meet. It's a pretty tall task. If we get this card approved by the board and everybody is good with it, I think that we don't necessarily have to have a meeting with all of the waste haulers, but if they are aware that we're going to try to meet with individual waste haulers, so that we can kind of move this along a little bit, maybe that's a way for us to kind of get things going.
Just softly, we finally got together with the waste haulers, the members of NWRA. There's going to be a meeting tomorrow, and we'll figure out how to advance the conversation with you guys, and probably call Karen or yourself the following next week sometime.
That sounds great. I appreciate it.
Sure.
Sounds good. Would you like me to email you that PDF or that card so you can have it to look at?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
So is that the end of your presentation, Karen?
No, I got one more thing.
Yes. I thought you had some more slides down there.
I do. Okay, so the next group are the non-recyclers, and I have an idea that I, of course, haven't really done anything with yet. But the idea is a quick start guide for recycling, and I just think a lot of, especially things that you have to put together, or maybe a new piece of technology. There's usually some kind of easy to read quick start guide. It's kind of a name people are familiar with. So I was kind of playing around with this idea of whether it's paper or digital or maybe both. And then the picture down there has nothing to do with recycling. It is just when I image search a quick start guide. But the idea is showing steps and arrows and here's what you do. And then I was playing around with our Wufoo is the platform we use for surveys and forms and stuff. And I was kind of playing around with that. If it were maybe like a digital thing where you sort of answer questions and it moves you along based on what you say. And by the end of it, by answering, like if you live in a single family home or maybe you're in an apartment complex and it doesn't offer, it kind of leads you to how you can so anyway, I just kind of wanted to bring that up because that's something I'm kind of playing around with as an outreach tool for non-recyclers. And whether it's, like I said, like engagement where you're handing them a pamphlet or maybe something online that can be very clear, like, you want to recycle, and then it helps you kind of guide you along on what to do.
Comment?
Mhm.
I think electronic or paper both are good. I just want to make sure maybe if you have something on there about where the stuff gets recycled. In other words, I think a lot of people don't because they actually don't believe anything happens to it or it's not real and all stuff. So instead of just how they can do it, are you going to include anything about the facility where it actually happens so they can look that up if they have to or something? I just think some mention of what we do with it here in our area. If you don't include it, I think you're not going to get the skeptics at all. You'll never get some people, but I think that might help.
I agree, and I think that the second reason people don't recycle is the cost.
Yeah.
And I think they assume, at least the ones I've talked to recently, they assume the cost is greater than what it is, which is interesting to me.
So there was a time it was. Remember, if you go back old enough and long enough.
Yeah, I hadn't thought
There's
about
times where
that.
it was when we first started stuff, so that stuff just never goes away sometimes.
You're right, and Sandra, I agree with you both that is one of the things that we have to. It's a challenge and it's an obstacle, and trying to get that information out there is important. And it can be part of this guide, but I also think it's bigger than that. We have been going back and forth about the campaigns that the Waste District funds. We've done litter the last 2 years, and we still have a lot of work to do on litter. But one of the campaigns that we have talked about doing is a recycling campaign that shows people that it does not go to the landfill, and that's improving recycling in another way. We're not quite ready on this quick start guide or to have this whole program laid out. So maybe by the time that we are ready, that the timing is right to launch a campaign. Maybe we want to launch 2 smaller campaigns, one to continue hitting litter because we just have to continue to hit litter year after year, I believe. And maybe we can have a smaller social media type campaign for recycling, new recyclers. So yeah, I think Karen's presentation here, number one, has not been easy to get to this point, and we have done a lot of work, and it looks really simple, a 1-page thing, but nobody don't really realize how much work that went in to getting this one little thing. So kudos to the group for getting that done, and we're going to be covering everybody, new, existing, and hopefully people that are non-recyclers now. So this is really going in a good direction. So I'm very happy with that.
Just coming up with the different groups of people and realizing they need different targets has been really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm starting to think, Greg, thinking about your comment and this, the idea that maybe non-recyclers might have to be subdivided into skeptics versus maybe people who are just unaware, of how to go about it. But I will say
Time or whatever. Right. Yes. Yes. Right.
sometimes skeptics are recyclers, and we've had them join in on our tour, and they say, well, I've been recycling, but I really am not sure what's going on with it. So having that tour option has been great. But anyway, I wrote that down because I think skeptics is something to maybe call out separately.
I think that's a good point.
Good idea.
Yeah, and not to add on too much to that, but would it help to say something like, X% is currently getting recycled, just to catch people's attention and say, and you can help increase that percentage just so that people know it's not zero, like it may not be perfect, but they see that it's substantial and that they can be a part of moving that number.
Sounds great. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that when we get that capture rate study going, that's going to give us some really fun data to share. So I'm excited about that. Because yeah, it's nice to have numbers and things like that. All right. Anything else? I can't see everybody that's on here anymore because my thing got so small, but I have one last slide. I wanted to report about some staffing changes, and so everybody knows Diane Moon, who's been on these calls for a long time, but Diana Tobias is now our second public education coordinator. So it's the same job Diane Moon has. Now there's two of them. So Diana was, I don't think she got on here. And I asked if she had her picture, that would be great. So I put it on. She's the only one I have a picture of. But she was an admin for our enforcement. So the change of her coming over, it was not really that huge of a deal because she was right there in our office already. But I'm excited to have her doing education. And we're hoping to get her position filled that she's vacating. And then we did have a new supervisor, new solid waste enforcement supervisor. Jenna McKinney was an officer, and she was just recently promoted to be the supervisor. I don't have a picture of her. Jenna, are you even on here? I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. So I can see again. But anyway, and then our other staff change is that a solid waste manager position was created, and Sarita Hawkins, who is on here, who is welcome to turn on her camera if she wants to, but that's okay if she doesn't want to, but she will be managing over the enforcement department.
She will also be over the staff recycling center sites, the household hazardous materials site, unstaffed self-service recycling sites as well, and special events and roll-offs. So she, as a manager, she's not in the minutia of it, but her scope is quite a bit bigger. One other thing, Sarita, and I guess you didn't want to. Mr. Bob Schindler has rotated off of the 109 board and will be coming to the advisory committee to take Tim Darst's position here. So Bob is not here on this call, so I would have to ask Karen if make sure that he's on the invite list. I think he probably is, but let's just double check that. And then we
Did
did
Tim Darst resign, or did he just faded out, or what?
Tim was having a difficulty with attendance, and
Yeah, I
and
remember.
it was because his teaching schedule, which was making it very hard. We asked if Bob could shift into that position, and he graciously agreed. It's
That's
not, we wasn't unhappy with him, but and we would want him to come back when he can. There's an open position.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.
Anything else from staff?
Congrats to Diana, Sarita, and Gina, the new positions.
Thank you.
Very good. Do we have any input from the public? Hearing none. I can move on to announcements. The next one online board meeting, as Pete said, will be next Wednesday, I believe it was Peter Karen. Next Wednesday, the 28th, at 5:30 to 7 p.m. And the next advisory committee meeting will be Wednesday, September 18th, 4:30 to 6.
Yes, and it sounded like the board meeting next week will be in person.
good.
And maybe, yeah, at our office to kind of have a send off, but welcome to the advisory committee for Bob Schindler.
And welcoming our new board member, Brian,
Oh, yes,
who's
yes.
actually on this meeting here tonight.
Yes. Hi, Brian. Thanks. So yeah, that'll be great to see you all in person, and it sounds like we might have some refreshments as well. So try to show up a little early.
We're going to be able to drive ourselves home, Karen? Or we're gonna-
That's why we have to have them before the meeting.
So Pete, you're saying 109, I'm sorry, 109 board meeting next week's going to be in person?
Yes.
Yes.
You're going to send something out on that?
Yeah, I will. I'm trying to work on, because we have to elect a new board chair. We don't necessarily have a policy or in our bylaws to how to do that. So we'll work out a little bit of those details. But yeah, the invite will be going out very, very soon.
Very good. Anything else from any of the committee members? Well, hearing none, I would like to thank each and every one of you for your participation tonight. Thank you, Karen. You did a lot of work on the flyer. I know that's been a lot of effort, and we appreciate it. As always, you and everyone on staff. So with that, I wish you all a good evening, and I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Kim. And do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And any discussion required? All in favor?
Aye.
And those opposed? Thank you very much. Motion carries. Everyone have a nice evening and enjoy the balance of what summer we have left.
Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Hey, Karen, could I talk to you for a second?